So this video is going to focus on fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. And I know that conventional medicine isn't great at treating fatigue. So in this video, I'm going to talk about different integrative ways that you can use to fight fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a problem that has affected many different individuals. And it's a topic that's extremely important because long haul COVID has only added to the number of people with that problem. According to the CDC, there's about 800,000 to 2.5 million Americans with chronic fatigue syndrome. And this was according to data from 2015. So I expect that number to be much higher today. Chronic fatigue syndrome affects women to men at a 4-to-1 ratio. And when patients have fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome, not only are they tired, but sometimes it does come with brain fog, joint aches, memory problems, changes in mood, and low motivation. So how many times have you gone to your doctor and told them that you are tired and fatigued and come up with a satisfying answer or a treatment plan that can help with it? I bet that not many of you will tell me that you left satisfied from a clinic visit with a doctor to talk about fatigue. And that's because in medicine, there aren't many answers and solutions to fighting fatigue, which is why I created this video to talk about the different holistic and integrative ways we can use to approach and fight fatigue. So I want to ask you to watch to the end of this video and comment below on what ways you use to fight fatigue or chronic fatigue syndrome, and if any of the ways that I talk about in this video resonates with you. So let's talk about the different ways we can fight fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. First of all, we have to make sure that the fatigue is not due to some underlying disease. And if you watch my video here, I do talk about the different possible underlying root causes that can cause fatigue. And we also have to make sure the patient doesn't have an underlying autoimmune disease that can be causing the fatigue. Once we have ruled out the other conditions that are causing fatigue, only then can we diagnose a patient with chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, with that said, let's move on to talk about the different ways we can fight fatigue. So in this video, I'll be talking about 5 holistic integrated ways to approach and fight fatigue. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll have some answers that your regular doctor could not provide for you. All right, number 1, the first step when we approach fatigue is we have to look at our own lifestyle. Are we eating a diet that is full of nutritious whole foods? Or are we eating food that is devoid of nutrients, such as chips, cookies, crackers? We really have to look deep at our own lifestyle and diet. Are we having a lack of sleep due to our work schedule? Are we working graveyard shifts? That can affect fatigue as well because our body has a circadian rhythm. And if we're working too late, working overnight, then that might be an issue. Is there stress in our life that is causing the fatigue? And what about medications? There are certain medications that can have fatigue as a side effect, and those can include antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, beta blockers to lower blood pressure and heart rate, opioids for pain control, and muscle relaxants as well. And the list does go on. So we do have to look at the medications, and you have to question your doctor and ask them if any of those medications that you're on is causing the fatigue. And if we notice any problems in these areas, we have to address it and not just slap band-aids with medication tablets to try to fix the fatigue. Because I will tell you right now, there is no magic conventional medication that can fix fatigue. So we have to look within in our life and our lifestyle to see what is missing here. So that's step number 1. Approach number 2 is we gotta observe our environment. Are we having a lot of high mercury foods such as shellfish? Or do we have a lot of dental fillings that has a high mercury content that could contribute to high mercury? Is there any lead exposure that we're exposed to that can lead to high heavy metal toxicity in our body. Because heavy metals is an overlooked cause that can cause fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. So we have to pay attention to that. And also we have to look at the area that we're living in. There are people out there that have carbon monoxide poisoning in their own home that they're not aware of. And that could be a slow carbon monoxide leak in the home. So we have to check our pipes and make sure that that's not happening. Because if there is carbon monoxide poisoning, not only will you have fatigue, but you could possibly have headaches, brain fog, memory problems, and the list goes on and on. So please pay attention to that. And how about environmental toxins? Are we constantly working with pesticides while gardening, or working with pesticides directly on a farm or near a farm? Is the place we're living at near a golf course? Because they spray a lot of pesticides as well. Is there constant exposure to something called volatile organic compounds? Each of these things we need to look at in our environment. And is there also mold exposure there that we're not aware of? But if we are aware of, we're not addressing it. That's really important as well. So that's how we look at things when it comes to functional and integrative medicine. So if we're exposed to these environmental toxins, we gotta figure out ways to lower the exposure. And sometimes, if we're living near a golf course, for example, it might not be practical to move away due to finances, family. So we gotta find ways to lower the toxicity burden. Okay, so here's a third way to approach fatigue, and that's supplements. So when I think of fatigue, I think about the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cell. That's where ATP is made, and that's where we get our energy day in and day out. It's through the mitochondria. So you've probably heard of this word in your elementary school, high school, or college biology. And it is so important to the cell. So don't forget about the mitochondria, because if that is not working properly, that can cause fatigue as well. So when I think of the mitochondria and the supplements that can help with that, I think of coenzyme Q10, L-carnitine, and also NAD as well. Those are just some of the few supplements that can help with the mitochondria. Another aspect that we need to talk about are your adrenal glands, and this is number 4. Sometimes our adrenal glands do need that extra support. And the way to help with that in stressful situations, for example, is through the use of adaptogens. And if you haven't heard of adaptogens before, these are supplements that help with stress. And by doing so, it can help with fatigue as well, because it also acts on adrenal glands. And examples of different adaptogens are ashwagandha, holy basil, and rhodiola. Each of these adaptogens have their special use cases. For example, one might be better than the other depending on your situation in life. So one of these adaptogens might be better for someone that works too much, that causes fatigue, and they need something more stimulating. Others are more calming as well. So we'll dive deeper into the different adaptogens in a later video. Well, I'll dedicate a special video just to adaptogens because it's a huge topic. All right, here we go. Number 5, we gotta look at nutrients. Some of us have micronutrient deficiencies. We could be eating the best foods in the world, but sometimes we're not having the best absorption in our body. Due to our gut microbiome, we might have gut dysbiosis where a gut microbiome isn't in balance and we can have leaky gut. So things that I pay attention to with nutrient deficiencies are like vitamin C, vitamin B, all the different vitamin Bs out there like B6, B12, B3. I also think of sodium, magnesium, zinc, folic acid, L-carnitine, which I mentioned earlier, tryptophan, essential fatty acids, selenium, iron, and also coenzyme Q10. These are just some examples of nutrients I think about. So you can get these micronutrients tested. Different labs out there can test for these. And sometimes taking extra multivitamins, a high quality multivitamin, can help with these nutrient deficiencies as well. Because we're constantly bombarded by the environmental toxins, and it takes more nutrients in our body to fight off these environmental toxins for our body to function better. So besides the gut microbiome, we can have insults from the outside that causes us to use more nutrients than we're supposed to. And these nutrient deficiencies can also lead to a leaky gut. It can potentially affect the thyroid and thus lead to fatigue as well. I know I mentioned 5 integrated ways we can fight fatigue, but here's bonus number 6, and those are hormones. We don't pay attention enough to our hormones, and we want to do so. We want to make sure our sex hormone glands such as progesterone, estrogen, testosterone are at an optimal level. So you can potentially work with an OB/GYN doctor or endocrinologist to get these checked, but sometimes they won't listen to you. And you might have to go the extra mile and work with a functional medicine or integrated medicine doctor to take a look at them to see if they're out of balance. And sometimes addressing these different hormones can fix the fatigue. Those are the different types of integrated ways we can approach and fight fatigue. Hopefully with this video, you're now better equipped to fight fatigue and also have more knowledge to approach your doctor. And if your doctor says that they don't have answers for you or just go exercise more, well, you know that you probably have more knowledge than them now and you can be able to fight fatigue in different ways. And if you're not satisfied with a conventional medicine doctor, make an appointment with me or find someone in your area that can talk about integrated medicine, because integrated medicine is so special, so powerful, and it can change people's lives when they're not happy with the conventional medical system. With that said, why don't you comment below and tell me what you think about this video and what ways you use to fight fatigue. And please give me a like and subscribe as well. And don't forget, I do have a newsletter on my website, myautoimmunemd.com, where I do send out monthly tips and information on the latest evidence-based information on autoimmune diseases and integrated medicine. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.